Good afternoon. I'm Bryan Police Chief Eric Buske. First, I want to apologize. I would have preferred that this conference took place on Wednesday, February 19th. However, I've been in Minnesota for a medical procedure the past 2 weeks, and I just returned to Bryan this morning. First thing I want to do is recognize the hard work of Assistant Chief Curtis Darby during this stressful time. We were in constant contact, and I'm sure he is very tired of seeing my name come across his cell phone. Today, we are here to talk about the arrest of Assistant Chief Waylon Rawls. On the evening of February 8th, officers were called to 506 West 26th Street regarding alleged assaults. Arriving officers discovered that Assistant Chief Rawls, who was off duty, was one of the persons involved. A supervisor and detectives were called to the scene. In order to be transparent and to avoid any perceived conflicts of interest, I made the decision to ask the Texas Rangers to handle the criminal investigation. They agreed to investigate, and the outcome of their investigation was the issuance of an arrest warrant for A.C. Rawls for misdemeanor Class A assault. A.C. Rawls turned himself in Wednesday morning and subsequently bonded out. There's a second internal investigation being conducted by our Professional Standards Division. This investigation operates under civil service rules and looks at whether or not there were violations related to a person's employment. This is a separate investigation from the criminal investigation and is ongoing. The Bryan Police Department is a professional organization, and we fully hold our officers to a higher standard of integrity and behavior, off duty or on duty. When that does not happen, we will take appropriate action. There have been questions concerning paid administrative leave. It is prohibited by civil service that an employee be placed on unpaid administrative leave until there's been formal charges filed. Formal charges have not been filed in this case yet. It is the county attorney that files such charges. Another question that has surfaced last night regarded an assault arrest of Assistant Chief Rawls in 1991. We have researched the case and discovered that it was deferred in 1991, dismissed in 1993. A.C. Rawls received his TCOL police officer certification in 1995 and was hired by the Bryan Police Department as a licensed police officer in 1996. I'll take a few questions now, but however, I will not be able to answer any specific questions regarding the internal investigation because it's ongoing, or the criminal investigation because it's the work of the Texas Rangers.
Chief, what kind of training do you offer in conflict resolution in general?
In general, it's taught from the start of the academy all the way through their career, also in service and stuff.
In other words, what kind of training is it? I mean, what do they learn?
Typically, it's interactive kind of training, and I can't give you the specifics on lesson plans and those kinds of things, but I've been a policeman for 35 years, and for 35 years I know that conflict resolution is part of police training.
Many of us aren't privy to the information as part of your investigations, but there have been some questions as to why it took 10 days, in essence, from the evening of the reported incident to Wednesday and turning himself in that process. Can you comment on that?
In my experience, that's actually a fairly fast turnaround, but we didn't conduct that investigation. The Texas Rangers conducted that investigation, but I thought it was done. I mean, there's a lot to do in any investigation, and my sense was that it went pretty quickly, actually, but you'd have to ask them for more specifics.
Could you have chosen to have your team investigate and not call in the Rangers until later?
Yeah, we certainly could have done that, and I have a high sense of respect and regard for our investigators, but again, in order to be transparent and to not put our officers in a position where they, it was unusual for them to be investigating someone of a higher rank than them, we thought the Texas Rangers were a good option.
Chief, we'll get some questions about the assault case back in 1991, since it was deferred adjudication. Does that qualify him through the vetting process to go into law enforcement, even though there was that charge back in 1991?
Yes, it does, and it was discovered by our background investigators during that time frame, and it did not. Does not have a conviction for assault because it's been adjudicated out.
Any other disciplinary issues?
I would refer you to open records for an internal affairs if you want to look at that.
If he ultimately, on future course of action, then if he decides to resign, is that something you'd be able to accept, or do anything on his future status?
I can't speculate on that.
I'm going to quote the incident report that I received under open records. One individual reported that another male touched him in an offensive manner by shoving the palm of his hand into the individual's face, touching his nose. It was also reported that the individual who was offended by this contact then struck the other male on and about his head and face multiple times, resulting in visible injuries. The incident report does not define who did what to whom or who was accused of doing what to whom. I understand the case is under investigation.
Right.
Can that question be answered?
I actually can't answer that question. I would refer you to the Texas Rangers because they talked to all the witnesses. That original report is a initial report that's taken by the officers on the scene, but for much more in-depth information, I would discuss it with the Rangers.
What are the conditions of this bond? Do you know that?
I do not know that.
Can you tell us a little bit more about his service history as a peace officer with the city of Bryan, or how long he's been in law enforcement?
I believe he's been in law enforcement for 24 years. Obviously, he's had a successful career. He was promoted to the rank of assistant chief over the course of his career.
If the second internal investigation shows that he didn't do anything wrong and that he is technically allowed to come back to work, do you want him back, given the perception of what's out there already?
I can't speculate, Carl. I mean, it would depend entirely on the circumstances of, I'm not going to speculate on that.
What job titles has assistant chief roles had with Bryan Police Department? In other words, how has he moved up through the ranks? Can you tell us?
Well, I know that he started as a police officer. He was, and I don't know the years on any of this stuff. He was promoted to sergeant, promoted to lieutenant. I believe in 2007 he was promoted to assistant chief.
Like general patrol?
Yeah, I've been here. I don't know specifically where he's worked in all those stops, but I do know that since I've been here, which is about 10 and a half years, he's commanded our operations folks, which is patrol primarily and training.
Would it be safe to say that there might be other police officers here who have had cases on them dismissed through deferred adjudication or the like?
I have absolutely no idea. It'd be pure speculation on my part. I don't know.
Generally or specifically, what's been communicated to the department since this has happened?
Well, Assistant Chief Darby did a very good job in my absence keeping the department updated on what was occurring, because obviously it's a traumatic event to any organization, and he did a really nice job of keeping the members of our staff informed on what was going on.
What's the current chain of command with the assistant chief on leave?
Right now, Lieutenant Dean Swartzlander, who's standing over there, is interim assistant chief over operations.
Any idea on how long that internal investigation takes?
I really don't. It'll take as long as it takes, and I don't mean that to be flippant, but we'll do a thorough investigation and make sure that we do everything that we need to do to make sure it's fair and accurate, and however long that takes is how long it'll take.
Chief, can you tell us again a little bit more just on having the Texas Rangers come in and have kind of an outside, third party kind of putting eyes on the situation?
Well, I thought it'd be healthy to have them look at it, because again, I have very high level of faith in our people, but I also am smart enough to know that it would be awkward to investigate someone 2 or 3 notches higher in rank than you. Texas Rangers have always been very good about helping out, and when they're asked, and they were helpful again, which we very much appreciate.
What does Bryan Civil Service and state license agencies require, or regulations regarding off-duty conduct?
I don't specifically know that it's addressed. I don't know the answer to that question.
Do you have a policy about that for the department?
As far as off-duty, I mean, our officers are expected to act always in a professional manner, and for the most part, most part, they do.
What do you want the community to know? While, social media makes it very easy to share inaccurate information and also share your opinions, what do you want the community to know, or see, how do you want them to see the men and women who are continuing to do their jobs while this kind of is being investigated?
They need to know that our officers are working hard, and I think it's a perfect example of if someone doesn't necessarily do what they're supposed to do, they're going to face the consequences like anyone else. So we're going to have a professional police department always.
Can you describe Chief Rawls' daily duties? He was doing day-to-day basis?
No, I mean, he was in command of, the patrol division,
So he oversaw
So-
officers on patrol?
oversaw officers, bosses on patrol. It primarily an administrative job.
About how many officers would you say he oversees?
Dean, you know that off the top of your head? 110? I think probably 110.
On a separate note, Chief, of course, had an incident Wednesday night with 2 officers being injured in an accidental shooting. Can you tell us a little bit about how they're doing and kind of how that whole situation unfolded here at the police department?
Well, they're doing fine. I mean, they were both treated and released. We're going to conduct a complete administrative review because safety is the most important thing in any job, but in policing especially, and we're going to find out exactly what happened. If it was human error, if policy or procedure wasn't followed, or if there was a gap in policy and procedure that we need to fill. But we're going to address it, and we'll ensure it will not happen again. Yes.
Forgive me if this is something in this regard has been asked before, but I guess my question would be, since this whole incident has happened, do you guys have like a set, I guess, rule or list of rules, like saying this is how you should comport yourself in a situation where something does get out of hand when you're off duty? Will you have something written out like now?
We have a code of conduct that talks about
Yes.
what's expected in different situations and what's prohibited and what's not prohibited.
Did officers who responded to the call initially before the case was turned over to the Rangers, did your officers follow all protocols?
They absolutely followed all protocols, and our instructions to them was gather whatever evidence needs to be gathered, what can't be recreated. In other words, evidence that's there on the scene needed to be collected, interviews that needed to be done right then were done right then. So they absolutely followed procedure, handled it very professionally, in my opinion.
The other gentleman involved in this specific incident, do you know if there are any plans to press charges against him, and or if that's something the Rangers are also handling exclusively, or does that fall on y'all because it was still in your jurisdiction?
I do not know on either count. It'd be a Rangers question. All right, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Got a question.
Oh, yes, sir.
Does the city have some type of policy, or are they going to make some kind of policy that when an officer or a city council member or a chief of police gets involved in something like this, that it's an even playing field, that either their names are released or they're not, and have it somewhere in writing where, everybody gets the same treatment?
Well, I mean, his name was released. Obviously, we're all sitting here at this press conference. We've not.
Not till later, though. Whereas the city council member, one of the city council members, their name was released immediately.
I can't speak
The
to.
chief was last time, too.
I can't speak to either one of those. Was not involved in either one of them. All right.
Because you're right here, from the media standpoint, and because again, you're right here, and I can answer that from the media perspective, councilman you're referring to was arrested that night. There was a court document the next day, a probable cause statement, so it's public information. With Assistant Chief Rawls, he had not been charged with anything, arrested, so until that happened, we were not releasing that information.
Councilmember Pena was never arrested, right?
He was accused of something else, and there were some other council-related issues that we were investigating.
Thank you very much, folks.